Six Nations 2023, folks. Round number 3. Top 5 players of the round. It's a nice round to be picking them because all the games were competitive in their own right. There wasn't any of the games that were absolute blowouts. So, some key performers. We'll pick 5. You guys can let us know your thoughts on who you would have if you were picking a top 5. I should say I've also written up a piece for this one for Planet Rugby, so that'll be down in the description. If you want to check out the written side of things, link is down there. There's always a few bits that I write there that I forget to mention here, so link down below. Right, first one I'm going to pick, and then these are in no particular order, is an Italian player in old Lorenzo Cannone, the number 8 for Italy at the weekend. That game had some pretty big name back rowers in it, like his teammate and captain, Michele Lamaro is obviously a pretty big name. Negri's been in great form, and the entire Irish back rower, like Caelan Doris, has probably been the form player in the world in his position, although he was switched in position. And then you got the world player there, Josh van der Fleer, Jack Conan coming back in, looking to make a point. But if there's one guy that stood out, I think it was probably Lorenzo Cannone, above the lot of them. He cranked through a bunch of run meters. I think it was like 63, which is more than, I think, the entire starting Italian forward pack, and certainly more than the likes of Doris and Conan put together. So he was, certainly tearing things up. And I think him and Pierre Bruno in that game both managed 7 defenders beaten, which was top for that game and possibly top for the week. I can't remember, but either way, Lorenzo Cannone, proper attacking machine. At times you maybe thought, you just need to let that pass go, but sometimes it is better to take the contact and recycle the ball through next phase. But either way, man, attacking-wise, Cannone was a real handful. And then defensively, 15 from 15 tackles. He's the top tackler of the game. Real machine effort from Lorenzo Cannone. So really pleasing for him. He's still a very young man, but coming along really, really nicely. Now, another one who I've mentioned probably a few times now is old Gael Fickou. Now, with Ringrose not playing this week, it was maybe, because I think at the moment the two world-class best of the world, Hugh Jones has been playing pretty well as well, but with Ringrose out, in terms of like who's the best Northern Hemisphere third team playing at the moment, it was maybe between Fickou and Ringrose, but Ringrose not playing. So you got to see the Fickou show, and what did he do? He grabs man of the match. Defensive powerhouse as well, 15 from 15 tackles, very similar to our man Lorenzo Cannone. He scores the bonus point and kind of match-winning or match-securing try. I mean, the game was pretty much already in the bag, but he secures things for France by, because they were down the road into the field. He's the one who makes that final play, powerful run to get them that bonus point. He beats defenders, he gets clean break. I don't know, man. The guy is just in phenomenal form. He pops up everywhere. I think he had 11 passes. For context, like Intermac has 7. I know Intermac played less time, but generally you would expect your 10 to pass more than your 13. But like I said, Fickou is just kind of everywhere. Speaking of Hugh Jones, it would be remiss of me to not give this guy a mention. Goodness me, he was also very, very busy. 8 through a bunch of run meters in this game. Scored a couple of tries, ran a great line for that Finn Russell opening try. And then he he finished off a move set up by his club teammate, old Sione Tupulotu. So they're forming a really great partnership. And going forward, they look to be going to be a big old threat. He didn't have as much to do defensively this week. His other weeks had to make a lot more tackles, but that's kind of part of Scotland having a lot more ball. And this game than we've had to see from Scotland in previous games. But man, Hugh Jones is really looking the business. Like if you'd asked me a year ago if Chris Harris would have been supplanted as the leading 13 in Scotland, I don't think I would have said it's possible, but Hugh Jones is certainly really doing a great job of it. So very, very pleasing for him. Now, I can't go with all flashy stuff. I do have to get some old prop love on the board because I can't be like World Rugby who never nominates props for anything. Kyle Sinckler, not as flashy. obviously. And then we always talk about Ellis Genge because Genji makes millions of carries. They use him as a real battering ram. But just quietly, Kyle Sinckler is getting through a bunch of work now. Scrum time, he is solid as a rock. That's kind of what we come to expect from Sinckler at this point. His scrummaging game is pretty much on point. I think he only conceded the one penalty during the game, and I can't actually remember if that was at scrum time or not. The scrum was a little bit scrappy at times between Wales and England, but apart from being solid at scrum time, the guy is just very, very busy around the park, man. He makes I think 12 from 13 tackles. It's the second game in a row for England he's had those kind of numbers. So he's a really, really busy member of that English defence. He carries it 7 times, which is solid for a prop. He doesn't have Ellis Genge numbers in terms of his carrying meters and defenders beaten and all that kind of stuff. But he caps it off with a try. Give it a little bit of flash. It's a real props try. It kind of burrows over from close range. But yeah, man, I think Kyle Sinckler did very well. So pleased for him to have a good week, and pleased to give a prop a bit of attention. But I'll finish things off with a fullback. But this week with Hugo Keenan, it's one of those ones where he's that consistent that him doing kind of special stuff doesn't seem that special anymore. You kind of get that a little bit with Antoine Dupont in that you just expect him to do crazy stuff. And it's only when he does phenomenal stuff that you kind of sit up and take notice. Keenan, I think, is getting into that area. He's very consistent. So when he does something like scoring a try by running a great support line and again backing himself to beat the on-rushing defence, doesn't seem like that much of anything, but it was still a pretty bloody well-worked try, man. The other options that he could have taken, but he backed himself to get the job done. Very familiar to the score we saw him take against, was it the first game or the second game where he ran through from the Beelan pass? But yeah, Keenan, confident, just playing with confidence and just so consistent, like I mentioned. Under the high ball, very, very consistent. I don't think he dropped a heck of a lot of ball. Maybe he had one handling error like the whole game. He makes 4 out of 5 of his tackles. He finishes with 81 metres. Beats a couple of defenders. Just so safe. And safe is not that sexy. There are other players who certainly maybe look more noticeable. But man, Keenan is good. Very, very, very good. So there you go. Top 5 players of the round. We'll put out a full team of the week a wee bit later on. But we'll start with these 5. A couple of them play the same position, so it'll be a decision as to whether you go for Jones or whether you go for Fickou for mine. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts. If you're picking picking 5 from the round, who would you have? As I said earlier, the article is down below for Planet Rugby. But yeah, you guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See ya.